Okay, hello everyone and welcome to the Spotlight on onQ groups. So today we're going to be looking at the groups tool. So I just wanted to go over a few of the features of the group tool before we get started and what you can use it for. So you can create a group or topic-based discussion. You can create group assignments, submission folders. In this case, if you create a group assignment folder, it means you can mark the students as the group. So when you grade the assignment, that grade will be allocated to all the group members and the feedback also. You can use the group tool to create private discussions just between you and an individual student. So you can have one-to-one private discussion areas. You can create self-enrollment groups for projects, presentations, or office hours. This allows the student to pick the group they want to be in or to select a time to meet for an virtual office hours. So again, I mentioned the group grade within the assignment tool. And the last thing, you can also grade group presentations or performances through the assignment tool. And there's a type of assignment where no submission is required. So you can literally just have it there so that if they did their presentation, now in this case we're virtual, so it could be where they do their presentation online using something like Teams or Zoom, and you can use the assignment tool just to assign the mark to the group that way. So what are we going to cover today? So today we're going to cover how to create a group category, group descriptions, so the different types of groups, group discussions, group assignments, creating a private group, grading groups in the assignment tool, and where students can find their group enrollment information. So I'm just going to switch over to onQ now and start demonstrating with the group tool. Where are we? We are screen two. Oh, hang on. Okay. So any questions you have, please feel free to put them in the chat as we go along. I'm happy to take questions as we go. So I'm just going to hop into the course. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you is obviously how to get to groups and how to create a group category. So the groups tool is found under communications and you select groups. So if you want to create a group discussion or a group assignment, always start with creating the groups first. So don't start with the actual discussion topic, start at the groups tool. And you can see I've already created a couple of groups in here. So I have one called group presentation. And you can see there's 4 groups with 10 members in each group. And there's an assignment attached to that group called presentation. If I want to have a look at who's in each group, I can click on the number and it's going to show me who's enrolled. I've just got a bunch of test students in there, but you can see easily who's in there. I also have another group in here called Project X. And again, this is group category, sorry, with 12 groups in it, again with an assignment attached to it. So if I want to create a new group, I'm going to click on the new category button and I'm going to give the category a name. So I'm going to call this, let's call this assignment 2. Or assignment 1. Don't know why I'm saying assignment 2. And I can give the category a description, but I'm not going to. So the next thing down is the enrollment type. And these are the different types of groups that you can create. So the first one in the list is number of groups, no auto enrollments. So that's how many groups do you want? So in this case, you could say, I want 5 groups, but I don't want the students auto-enrolled. I want to enroll them myself, okay? So this would create you, say, 5 groups, but you would have to enroll the students in the groups. The next one down is groups of number. So groups of 5. So in this scenario, the system will keep creating groups of 5 until there are no students left. So it will just keep adding another group until all the students are enrolled in a group. This one will auto enroll and it will randomly select the students. The next one is number of groups. Okay, so this is where you say, I want 10 groups and I want however many students I've got divided up evenly between these groups. So, you know, in this case, if you said I want 5 groups and, you know, you've got 50 students, you're going to end up with, what am I saying, 10 in each, right? You're going to end up with 10 students in each of the groups. It's just going to keep adding those students to those 5 groups. The next one, group of number self-enrollment, is again groups of 5, but this time you want them to self-enroll. So again, it's going to keep creating more groups until everyone can self-enroll in a group. This one you only really want to use when your students have been enrolled already. Otherwise, it's just going to kind of enroll them in order. You want the full bulk of the students there so you can create the right, so the system creates the right amount of groups. The next one is number of groups self-enrollment. So again, it's I want 10 groups, but this time I want them to self-enroll, but I don't want any more than 10. So they can keep self-enrolling until they're all in those 10 groups. The next one is number of groups, capacity of number self-enrollment. So this is where we're saying I want 5 groups with a maximum of 5 students in each group, and I want them to self-enroll. So this is a good option if you want to do the self-enrollment option and you want to create the groups now, but you don't know how many students you don't have all your students in your course, because it allows you to create enough groups straight away. Otherwise it would look and say, oh well, you know, in the other way, sorry, I'm stuttering a bit, it's complicated. In the number of groups self-enrollment, if you don't have any students, you may not have enough groups, whereas this way you could say make 10 groups, I want capacity of 5, and then as soon as they start enrolling they can start picking from one of those groups. And the last one is that private user group that I was talking about, where you just want one student to have their own private discussion forum and that you can access. So for example, if you wanted your students to blog, have a blog in the discussion, and you want that blog to be private because only you want to see it as the instructor, this would be a really good option. And what's nice about it is it automatically names each of the private threads that the student has with their name, so you can very easily see which student it is. So let's just let's pick groups of 5. Okay, so I'm going to say, because I picked this one, it just shows the number of user, because I'm just specifying that I want groups of 5. Now you can restrict, so you can create a group within a group, or you can create a group within a section. So if you have a multi-section course and you want groups restricted to the section they're in, you can do that by restricting the enrollments too. So say, for example, you were teaching a course and you had section 001 and 002. You want to use the same onQ course so that you don't have to manage 2 courses. But for the group work, you want them to only be grouped with people within their section. You can create the groups, you know, the first set of groups restricted to section 1 and the second set of groups restricted to section 2. So we're not going to do any restrictions. Obviously, I haven't got any sections in here right now. The group prefix, you can just let the system automatically create the group prefix, or if you have a specific name that you want to call each group, you can add it here. We always, if we're doing automatic enrollment, we always want to have the auto enroll new users enabled so that anyone who's added late gets automatically assigned a group. And we want to randomize the users in each group because we're doing auto enrollment, so we want that selected. And now we can select what we want to restrict these groups to. So in this case, I'm going to say, let's create an assignment folder. And it's going to be an assignment folder with a file submission. And if we save that, now we get to create our assignment folder. So this is where each group is going to submit to. So one person is going to submit as the group. And you can see it's already knows this is a group assignment because we're creating it through the group tool, and that we're using the group category assignment 1. Okay, you can see the other ones there. And I'm just going to add a grade item. I'm just going to add that one. And I'm going to click create. Okay, so we can now take a look at that now. So I'm just saving. There's a few saves you have to. So you can see there are 9 groups. And there's 5 in each group, except some of them there are 4, which is quite strange that it didn't actually keep populating 5. I guess it did that because there would have ended up being a group with 1 person in it. So it's created a more balanced group enrollment by having the last 4 groups with 4 people in. So you can see it's auto enrolled the students, and here's the assignment that's connected to it, assignment 1. So if we go to the assignment folder, we'll also see in there's the assignment folder we just created. We can see the group icon is attached to it, and so is the icon that says there's a grade item. So there's 2 pieces of information right there that we can see that tells us what type of folder this is. So let's have a look at what it looks like for a student to submit to this group. So I'm going to just go into the class list. I'm going to impersonate one of these test students and save. And now I'm going to go to the assignment tool, and we are going to go on submit to this group. And you can see the student can see that they're in group 8. That's where they're submitting to. And I'm just going to upload a file, just any file I can find on my desktop. Just anything that's not okay. That's not too okay. I think I'll just do that. Okay. You can see they upload the file and they submit. So as an instructor, when you go in to review what the students have submitted, view submissions, you can see that only group 8 has submitted, so that's all it's showing us at the moment. And when you click on evaluate, you can, if you want, when you open the file, you can see who's in that group right in the assignment folder where you're going to mark it, so you can see who's in there. You can then go down and mark it. So you could open this file, you could then mark it, add feedback. You can use the annotation tool within onQ. I don't know what this is. Okay, so you can go in and use the annotation tool and mark it using the annotation tool. You can then go in and give the grade. And you can see here that it says, note, this grade will be applied to all members of this group. So this is the grade that you're giving to everyone who was listed in that group above. And the feedback will also be released to all of them. Really silly feedback in there, and normally you'd save as draft. As you marked everyone, you'd save everyone as draft until you were ready to publish all the assignments together. I'm going to publish so that you can now see. Now, what, for example, if you decided that one person, particularly in a case of a presentation, one person seemed to do a lot more work than the others and you wanted to give them a slightly different mark? In that case, what you want to do is you want to go to the grades and do their mark there, because the grades, sorry, I did it on this one. The only way you can give a group mark is through the assignment tool. If you go to the grade book, even though it's attached to that group assignment folder, it's still an individual mark. So, for example, if I did want to look, I'm going to look for that group 8. So I'm going to change my view so that I can see group 8 on assignment 1. So here they all are. Now, if I decided, oh, there's one student, Carla here, who did a lot more work than the others, and I need to give them a bit more, a better mark, I could then adjust it there, okay? So, for example, if you were doing some, if you did, some peer review on group performance, like you wanted them to assess each other on how they worked in the group, and you needed to adjust the marks slightly based on the feedback that you got or what you've seen, you can then go into the grade tool and make that adjustment. Okay, so the next type of group we're going to create is that one-to-one private group. So each student is going to have a private discussion thread within the group. So even though it looks like you can see them all in one place, actually they can't see each other's. So to do that, I'm going to create a new category, and I'm going to call it private discussion blog. Okay. And I'm going to pick that bottom option, single user, member specific, no restrictions. And I'm going to set up a discussion area with this one. And I'm going to add it to a new forum. I'm going to call that forum week 3, because that's when they're going to start doing this. And I'm going to say create a new topic and click save. So again, I'm setting up the discussion forum at the same time as I'm setting up the discussion. Now, what you want to do in this case is you want to make the selection, create one topic with threads separated by group. Okay, it's still private, but it means that if you want to grade this activity, you only need to create one grade item. If you create it one topic per group, however many students you have, that you would have that number of topics, and each topic has to have a unique grade item. So you would have to have 41 grade items, one grade item for each student. So you always want to select this second option so that you can just have one grade item. And they're still private. So we're going to call this blog. I'm going to call this blog. And create next. And done. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go and have a look at what that looks like. So here we are in the groups tool, and you can see that it's created these groups of one person. So each person effectively has their own private group, and it's attached to this discussion topic called blog. Okay. So if we go into the discussion tool, we can go and see what that looks like. And actually, I'm going to show you on, I think, this one, because, no, it's not that one. So basically each student, sorry, I didn't attach a grade item. I think we need a grade item right here. So I'm just going to attach a grade item to this. So I'm just going to create a new grade item, which I'm going to call blog. And I'm going to say it's worth 10. And its weight is 10, that's fine. And the score out of must match that 10. So now if I go and assess topic, obviously nobody's posted yet, but I can see each of my students and each of their private discussions. And if I click view by group, you can see that under private discussion blog, each student is their own group. So this means that you can have either the students posting their private blog, or if you want to have a private space to have conversation with the student, you can also do that. Do we have any questions in the chat?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. How are we doing for time? Okay. Group. So I just wanted to show you also within the assignments. So here you can see I set up a presentation group and assignment. And what's nice about this is that when you go to view submissions, obviously if they're doing a presentation, they're not submitting a file. But when you go to view submissions, what it does is it shows you just all the groups so that you can just evaluate them. So it doesn't expect...
Sorry, Selina,
Yeah.
there is a question now. Assigned to groups by time zone?
So yes, by time zone, you would have to basically set up the number of groups that you want and call each group a different time zone. So at any point you can go in and create, click on each group and you could say, okay, this could be called time zone 1, okay, which is, I always think of Greenwich Mean Time because that's how I work with the clock, but I think you use, let me have a look, account settings, I think it says here. Oh no, look, in the clock in onQ, it says Greenwich Mean Time. There we go. Oh, UTC. Is that what you use for the time zone here? Anyway, I use Greenwich Mean Time. And from Greenwich Mean Time, Canada is -5 hours, which is correct. England is 4 hours ahead.
And there is another question now as well. How do I get a group to coordinate with a certain time in the schedule? Do I just create a group and tell them when to show up on Zoom?
Sorry, say that again.
How do I get a group to coordinate with a certain time in their schedule? Do I just create a group and tell them when to show up on Zoom?
Margaret?
Mm-hmm.
Margaret, do you have your microphone? Can you switch your microphone?
Yeah.
Hi. I just wanted to clarify a bit. So is that in the case that you're doing a presentation?
No, like I was thinking that I organize quite a lot of times in the schedule, but like there are times so I can separate them out into groups. So
okay. Yeah. So you could so basically you could create your Zoom category, right? For so let's just do it. This is the way I would do it, right? Because it's the same with the time zones. It's effectively the same thing. Zoom meeting, right? Zoom meetings. So say you've got 5 different times, right? So in that case, I would do, and do you have specific students you would want in there? Each one?
No, I just want them to be evenly done. So maybe I just do numbers of groups.
Yes, exactly. Number of groups. So we'd do 5, right?
Okay.
And then just save that because we don't need discussions. We don't need any of the other bits. And then just go in and you would just, instead of where it says group 1, you would go in and edit the name. So you would go in and say, okay, Thursday, the whatever 10th of September, you know, 11.
Doesn't allow you to do that. Not
oh, I missed it. Yeah. So yeah, Thursday.
Yeah. Got it.
And maybe GMT or whatever you do. Just make sure, you know, there's a lot of confusion that goes on around with the clock. Okay. You know, I think that it's something that should be raised with you know, students in your first kind of contact with them, because they can change their clock in onQ so that it is reflecting where they are, and therefore all the dates would be adjusted to reflect the time that they're in.
Okay, I have just a really tiny question. So when I go on Zoom, that group knows it's the group for like maybe that particular slot. But if somebody else shows up, it's not really connected to it, is it?
No.
Okay, I'm just hoping that the same, yeah, I'm sure they're not that keen. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is just basically letting them know which time they should come attend.
Yeah, that's great. Okay.
But not, yeah, it's not restricting anything in any way because it can't restrict something in Zoom.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll turn off my microphone.
It's okay. 3 modules in the course. We want to switch the discussion groups around so that new students see different classmates at different modules in the course. Okay, so 3 modules. So basically it's 3 modules and you want 3 different groupings for each of the modules. So you would have to create 3 categories in that case. So that you got the randomness each time. Otherwise, if you created just one category, it would be the same students in each group for each module. So you're going to have to create 3 categories, one for module 1 that's random, one for module 2 that's random, and one for module 3 that's random, and then restrict each module to that group each time.
Selina, actually, we don't want it to be random. We want to make sure that they see different people.
Right, okay.
The group, so that, say there's 30 new grad students in the class.
Yeah.
Then we want them to see most of their classmates by the end of the course for 4 weeks at least.
Okay, so in that instance, how I would do it is I would only have 1 category, right? Mm-hmm. So this is what I would do. So I'd create that category and I would call it, module discussion. Okay. And in that case, the first time I do it, I would say 3 of groups, okay? And I would let it be random for the first time, okay? Because the first time, they won't have been with anyone. So that there we've got our first one, and we're just going to change the name of these groups to module 1, module 2, module 3, okay?
Okay.
And we would create the discussion forums. You want the actual discussion forums as well?
Yeah.
So in this case, we're going to just edit the category. So you can see I've called it module 1, module 2, module 3. And I'm just going to edit this category because I didn't add a discussion forum. And actually what we want to do is we want to add three discussion forums. And we're going to call this module discussions. So right now we've got our first set of module discussions done, right?
Got it.
So when you're ready to change the groups, you could just edit the enroll users on the category and move them all so you can see where they are, and you could randomly switch them up manually by hand to make sure that they haven't so that they're with new people. Or you just create another discussion forum and do it a second time. In fact, it may be easier if you actually enrolled them by hand the first time. You could do it in such a way so that it would be easy to switch them over. So for the first, so you could just have, you know, like this, you know, select five, like this down, and then it would be really easy to move them because you'd be moving them in kind of a set. So there's only 3 groups, but if you did it between the 3. And split them up manually, and then you could just move, you know, each one over. So you're going to have three discussion forums. Now, when they switch, none of them are doing the same module? Is that the idea?
No, they're all doing the same course together. We just, it's first term, first year, and they haven't met each other, and there's been no orientation. So we just want them to see a different group of classmates for each third of the class.
Right.
The course.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, we could set up a grid like that and do it by hand. It wouldn't take very long.
Yeah, I mean, it would save you having to create 3 categories. Do you know what I mean? Because they're not submitting anything on this, are they? It's just a...
They're going to discuss, and then we want to be able to just put yes, no, you know, or, you know, so to grade it by the pass fail, like they posted or they didn't post. Okay,
so in that case, what you could do is you'd still have 3 discussion. You'd still need to have so this would be, so when they're in module 1, 2, and 3 at the same time?
Nope, different times. Each of the 3 instructors following each other.
Oh, I see.
4 weeks. 4 weeks each.
Okay, so they're all in module 1, and there's 3 discussions, and then they're all in module 2, and there's 3 discussions, and they're all in yes.
Yes.
Okay, so you need to make sure that. So I did it the other way. I thought that you were asking. Where is it? Where was I doing it? So in that case, no, you want 3 categories and do it 3 times. So the first one will be module 1 discussion, right?
Yep.
And within that, there will be 3 groups. But we'll say no enrollment so that you can do it manually, and then you can very easily keep them in the same, just move them over a row, right?
Or we wouldn't move them in a group, but we'd move some to each different group. Something.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, you want to do 3 categories. And then that would be right. So you could have module 1 discussion and 1, 2, and 3, and then you can assign a grade item to it. And then you'll have module 2 and module 3.
Okay. Thanks.
I think that would, especially as you want to grade it. Just make sure you pick the group by thread and not the group by topic, okay? So that you can just have 1 grade item for each of those module discussions.
Okay.
How are
Thank
we
you.
doing for time, Caitlin?
We're at just almost 2:15.
Okay, so does anyone else have any questions? If you need help setting up groups, both Carla and I can help with that. So, you know, they can get a little complicated, as you can see, when I'm trying to figure out as well what's trying to happen. So, you know, we're happy to help with if you need advice on how to set up groups. We can be contacted through the CTL, through the onQ support site. We have virtual drop-in hours on Tuesdays from, Carla, help me out here, is it 1:30 to 2:30 on Tuesday afternoons? And
Yes.
10 to 11 on Thursdays. So that's, you know, again, if you want to drop in, sometimes there's no one there. There may be lots of people there. If there's the case that there's a lot of people there, you can always touch base with us and we can get back to you afterwards when we have, you know, we're free kind of thing. So don't worry, you don't have to sit there waiting. We try and keep the drop-ins for quick questions, and if you need more information, we can always meet with you virtually through Microsoft Teams or Zoom. So with that, it's 2:15, so we can wrap it up. Thank you for all attending. I hope I haven't confused